I'm just saying, I'm supposed to say one. You're supposed to say five, four, three. And we're live. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Criminally Mental Podcast. My name is Kody.
And I'm Zach Galloway, and here to introduce our show is the friend of our show and the host of the VT Network, Dead Man.
All right, sorry, we're having some technical difficulties. Could you pitch that one more time, Zach?
Yeah, no problem. And I'm Zach Galloway, and here to introduce our show is the host of the VTN Network, Dead Man.
Welcome to the Criminally Mental Podcast, where we talk about mental health, the criminal justice system, with your host, Kody Green and Zach Galloway, currently both on parole and compassionate release. Now, here's the show.
Now, for anyone who didn't just catch what happened there, Zach, do you want to tell everyone how excited you are right now?
That was pretty cool. We just had Dead Man come and pop in for a little, like a live thing. That was actually Dead Man's voice. It wasn't the recording we used.
Zach, how excited would you be if I told you that our guest today is actually Dead Man?
Yes! Yes! Best news, best show ever, right there. Yes!
So for those of you who don't know, the intro that we do to our podcast is voiced by Dead Man. Zach always talks about how much he loves Dead Man's voice. And so as a surprise today, I actually invited Dead Man to join us for the podcast. We're going to talk a little bit about ADHD. We're going to talk about a few other hot topics. But Zach, if you want to introduce our guest before I bring him back on.
Okay, here's the host of the VT Network, and honestly, not only a great friend of ours, like I said, every week, he's a good guy. I know him. I love him. Dead Man.
Hi, guys. Welcome, everybody.
Gosh, Dead Man. I'm so glad I didn't have to tell Kody that I had to plan for next week.
I'm here now. It's what counts. It's what we're doing.
Dead Man, I want to thank you so much. As always, we're always scrambling to find guests, and I appreciate you jumping on. I just had the idea the other night, and I thought, it would be super fun to surprise Zach and bring on Dead Man. Zach has had the honor of being on Dead Man's podcast. I have not, even though I have been offered, I just haven't had a chance to make it on yet. So we thought, why not bring you on here? I figured it'd be good to have a conversation about ADHD, and I know there was a few other topics as well that we were looking at getting into.
Absolutely, and I really can't wait to start up with it, because I believe I'm not one of the only people that holds some of these opinions and some of these stances, but I do believe I have the coolest voice for it, so I'm gonna go with that.
It's true. You can come on here and pretty much preach apartheid in that voice, and we'd be like, yeah, maybe.
He has a point.
I don't know how many of our episodes you've listened to, but you should just listen to the first minute of every episode so you can hear Zach fangirl over your voice every single week.
I listen to every single episode. That's my favorite part. I'm not gonna lie. I like living with a girlfriend who is like completely used to me having this voice and like doesn't hear it all the time. So she's like, it's not that important. And I'll play like Zach reacting, and she's like, wow. And I'm like, yeah, I got someone who appreciates me. I have options.
Yeah, right. So wait. So who did you tell me was going to be on? Huge Raymond or something like that? I should have known that was a fake name that you gave me, Kody.
Yeah, I just gave you a fake name. I said Jesse something. I was like, we have an ADHD advocate coming on to speak with us today, just because I didn't want Zach to figure out that we had Dead Man joining us.
So if that doesn't give away exactly how involved I am with the planning of this show, I don't know what does.
That's okay.
Yeah. I didn't want to throw you under the bus like that, Zach, but I mean, it is true.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair.
So, Dead Man, if you want to just quick give everyone an idea of who you are, what kind of content you create, and talk a little bit about your podcast as well, just so everyone kind of knows a little bit about you.
My name is Dead Man. I'm actually Hispanic. My first name is Miguel. Everybody calls me Dead Man, though. It's kind of a gamer tag that's stuck because at work we all game together. And eventually calling each other by our first names wasn't working in the call center, so it would like be like, we'd call each other gamer tags. So mine's gamer was
Is
Deadman.
that something in the gamer community where it's like you may know somebody, but you always call them by their gamer tag? Is that a thing?
Yeah, it depends on how close you get with somebody. Like
Okay.
I've actually like gone to North Dakota and met a couple of friends and stayed in their house. You know what I mean? Like,
And
so
they
like
knew
it,
you were Hispanic. Wow.
yeah, and I was a giant Hispanic. Trust me, walking
Wow.
around North Dakota as one of the only brown people there.
For those of you
It's
that don't know, Dead Man's actually 6'7". So be aware of that.
I am a large man, and I can't wait to actually meet you both so I can just Tarzan carry you. S-
Zach likes to be carried, so that'll be fitting for him.
It's true. It's true. It
yeah.
is a thing. I
As
know
as
that.
for my content, I do a lot of voice acting. I work on something called Dark Charm Media. We do audio dramas, horror dramas. Uh, Crave Robert says he's not that big. Thanks, Bing Bong. Uh, I mostly do VT Network, and that is my main podcast. That is where we discuss all things nerdy. Uh, uh, and we don't talk about politics, we don't talk about religion, anything serious. We talk about nerd shit. Movies, video games, music. We've had Zach on. He's had a bunch of tales to tell us
It's
about
actually
musicians he's met.
it's actually a really cool show, and it's refreshing for me to go on a show and just to like kind of bullshit about nerd stuff, instead of this horse shit that we do every week. But
I
Uh,
I was actually really excited for you to offer me to come on too, because I always get like asked to come on a podcast and talk about and the thing with us doing mental health content and prison content is it is borderline political, and it is kind of hard for us to not be involved with more tense conversations. And I was just thinking it'd be so nice to be able to nerd out a little bit, because I mean, I definitely am a nerdy person, so I know Zach too. Zach is a huge nerd.
it's true.
yeah.
This is true. The
So
rumors are true.
so yeah, we've been around for almost 3 years now. We're very, very, very tiny. We're not even a quarter of the size of this whole show is, but we love it. I love it. My co-hosts love it, and it's something we do with a passion. And we keep going. And I believe we're coming up on our 3rd-year anniversary here
Oh
in
wow.
this month. So
Well, congrats, man. That's
Yeah,
huge.
thank
that
you.
is big. When's our birthday?
You talking to me?
Yeah, when's the show's birthday?
You don't know when my birthday is?
No, when the you troll. When the show's birthday.
Oh, the
When's
show's
our-
birthday. Yeah, that's a good
You know
question.
I don't know your
I don't
birthday.
even know that.
Unbelievable.
I'll have to-
I can't go back on my show. Like, I had to mark the date arbitrarily because so many of our shows got taken off of so many social media sites because we played music and we critique music, and Zach's
Oh.
been there for that. And
Yep.
we're pretty brutal sometimes. And I don't remember. I think it was Warner Brothers and Roadrunner, but they like struck our channel, struck our Anchor, our Spotify, like just took down. I think we're missing like 8 or 9 episodes total.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Was that
Yeah.
because of the I know music has a when we started the show, we were really good not to put any music in here because I know there's all sorts of guidelines for music. Was it more the guideline aspect, or because you were like critiquing music?
I want to say it was the guidelines, but we got mean on one artist, and I don't remember who it was. And we roasted the shit out of them. And like right after that, it was like, "Oh, DMCA strike, DMCA strike." I'm like, "You're getting butthurt by 3 brown guys in a basement podcast. Like, come on, your
That's
feelings
fair.
are."
Guys in basements have done some real damage to people's image these days, though. So
Yeah. Luckily, I'm on the 2nd floor.
there you go.
At least I think I am. Anyways, I do suffer from ADHD, severe ADHD. Like if there was a spectrum, mine would be turned up to 100.
Is there a spectrum?
There is.
Okay.
I'm an advocate for all things ADHD. I'm unmedicated. I have tried medication several times in my life, much to my detriment. I didn't like the way I didn't like the way I felt on it, so I couldn't function. I decided to be off of it, and I've been managing it myself ever since. But I mean, one of the more interesting things, and Grave Robber here in the chat here, he's also advocates for this, but I advocate for felons to get not only their firearms rights back, but their voting rights back, and I've been in several discussions about that. So that's another aspect of weirdness to me, and it's also just keeping in the idea that I don't have a political bias to anything, you know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it is kind of strange how nowadays, like, having an opinion like felons should be able to vote is political, but hey,
Well, I
yeah,
think felons should be able to vote. I don't know if Zach should be able to vote.
that's
That's
fair.
my opinion.
That's fair.
no, no,
I
no.
go with that.
I want Zach to vote. I want that number to go so skewed. I want there to be like an anomaly where they have to pull out the ballots and be like, all right, hold on, something happened here.
So you would say that you're probably more of a chaotic person.
Oh, definitely. Oh, yes. Oh, the more confusion and wonder I can spread, the better.
That's fair.
Well,
It's a good way to be.
I do want to ask you more about like those opinions you have because as two people here who Zach, you're a felon, right?
Pretty sure.
Pretty sure. I think
Yeah.
I'm a felon too. So we're gonna definitely talk about that a little bit later because I love talking to people who haven't accumulated a bunch of felonies like me and Zach.
We collected them like they're Pokemon.
Yeah. we're trying to catch them all, and we're doing
Right.
a damn good job so far. So I love to get the opinion of people who haven't had to deal with the justice system as much. But first, I did want to ask you about a few questions about your ADHD, if that's all right.
Absolutely, please do.
So one of the things I've seen as a mental health advocate is there are so many creators doing ADHD advocacy right now on TikTok, almost to the point where, and I'm not trying to say this about anyone specifically, it seems like some people might be trying to glorify like ADHD with their certain skits they do and everything. Do you think that's effective for the ADHD community as like spreading awareness? Because I mean, I do it too with schizophrenia, but do you feel like that's helpful or not helpful?
I believe it is helpful because for so long, ADHD was misunderstood, and we didn't know what it was. We, for so long, up until I think it was 2001, it was diagnosed as a mental disorder. So when you look at it like that, you're going to treat it like a mental disorder. But now we know that an ADHD person's brain is just wired differently, like Zach, and our brains don't communicate at a speed that is normal. Like the right and left hemisphere of an ADHD person's brain communicates at a much higher pace. So we learn things faster, we communicate faster, but that also makes for chaos. It also makes it hard for us to nail down thoughts and stuff like that. Now, the glorification part of it, I absolutely believe, because for a little while there on TikTok, they were glorifying dating. There were people with anxiety.
Yeah.
And it was a trend. It was a trend. You can look this up, dating with anxiety. And hello, Shannon. So they go through these little phases in TikTok, right? Like, oh, go date someone with anxiety. It's so much fun. You'll get this benefit and this benefit. They never tell you that also they suffer from anxiety. And there's a lot of things that come with anxiety, just the same way a lot of things come with ADHD. ADHD is not a singular diagnosis. Usually there's a lot of things that come with it, such as depression or bipolar syndrome. A lot of things can be caused or onset by ADHD. I personally suffer from imposter syndrome. And that is, I don't suffer from anxiety. As you can see, I'm a big guy on the internet. And I don't mean big as in numbers. I'm just a large man on the internet. So I'm not suffering from anxiety. Imposter syndrome, though, that's what gets me, and that is born from my ADHD.
What is imposter syndrome?
that imposter syndrome in a nutshell is I don't. It's an irrational fear that I am not as smart as I think I am. I didn't do what I said I've done, and somehow, some way, everybody is just gonna quickly wake up to that realization, and I'm gonna lose everything. That I'm
Huh.
somehow a fraud, and it's crippling because like I see TikToks and like, oh, how do I do this with this camera? How do I shoot this? How do I write this? And I'm like, I really want to comment, but then the imposter syndrome sets in, and I'm like, yeah, but what if I'm the moron? You know what I mean? What if I'm the one that everybody in the group looks at and points and laughs because they're like, look at this guy's opinion.
Yeah, I can't even. I mean, I basically have the opposite. I approach every situation with this undeserved confidence that I'll know how to do it. That's crazy.
No,
Honestly, it's got me in a lot of trouble.
it's wonderful. Honestly, I have a lot of confidence. It's just that for me, it's an intellectual thing. For me, it's like my intellect. You know, like I've talked to Zach on a personal level. I just educated Kody on a couple of pieces of audio equipment, and all that stuff is just really natural to me. But you know, if I try to delve into it or anything else like that, I get that crippling fear that I'm lying or somehow I'm not being truthful. You know, and it's weird. I don't like it.
I wouldn't imagine.
So, going a little more into your like ADHD diagnosis. One of the things I've noticed with ADHD specifically is the very high rate of people under 18 being diagnosed with the disorder. And that's something my brother was diagnosed with it. I don't know a lot about ADHD, but if I'm not mistaken, there are a very large number of people under 18 being diagnosed with it. And my brother firmly believes that he does think he struggles with it now, but he was a very big advocate of I was just a kid. I don't necessarily think I had ADHD. At what age were you diagnosed? And do you see, was that similar with your story as well, where you were diagnosed younger? Or?
No, I was diagnosed at 5,
Oh,
and
wow.
I
Wow.
was instantly put on Ritalin, and I was on Ritalin until I was almost 15, and I couldn't take it anymore. I was starting to have mental breaks, and I got off it, and from 15 till about 20, I was on a myriad of medications, causing several mental breaks because yeah, and yeah, people being diagnosed with ADHD when they don't have it was an issue. I don't think it is anymore,
Okay.
uh, because we understand so much more.
Cody kind of brings up an interesting point. I remember that this is really more your and my generation, dead man. Kind of where kids. It seemed like everyone had at that time. I think they called it ADD, right?
Yeah, ADD.
Just ADD or whatever, and it seemed like everywhere left and right, kids were popping up with it. So, I guess my question is, do you think that it sounds like you think that slowed down or changed some, at least?
Yes, I do believe it has. And the reason is because we're not we are, for the detriment of mankind, much more skeptical of armchair and quick diagnoses. You know, remember the meme to this day is go on WebMD, you're dying. You have
Yep.
cancer. You
Yeah.
know, something horrible is going to happen to you. You're being hunted by Boba Fett. It's weird. So nowadays we've become so much more skeptical of walking in with a kid that's just hyped up on sugar because you're feeding him 12 Krispy Kremes and 3 Mountain Dews a day. And oh well, he's got ADHD. I don't think he does. You know, so I do believe that is growing, and I'm very much appreciative of that. And I'm also very concerned also because for years and years and years we treated ADHD with antidepressants and with mood alterers, and so that's kind of what like took me out of the entire medication game.
Yeah.
Like how I responded to them, and I'm like, I'm just done. I'm just gonna manage this by myself. Damn that.
That
Well,
sounds especially rough, man. So, is there a difference between ADD and ADHD? Because I remember it was ADD when I was a kid, and then suddenly everyone started calling ADHD. Is that like a different diagnosis or?
Yeah. One is attention deficit hyper disorder. And the other one is just attention deficit disorder. It's just fancy work for our brains don't produce dopamine very well, and
Mm.
so one diagnosis ADHD kind of pursues it more actively than ADD. And so that's also one thing. Like I'm super like impressed with you guys beating addiction because I have an addictive personality due to my ADHD. And I have to be extraordinarily careful what I participate in, as evident by my weight. You know, I found food for comfort for a little while, and I gained a lot of weight, but I've never really touched drugs.
Don't.
Um, I don't plan to.
Just throwing that out there. Maybe don't.
Yeah,
Eh, you know what? I've looked at it as a weight loss alternative.
there are better weight loss alternatives out there. Trust us on this one.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I always wanted a scraggly beard.
Well, I can say it does lead to a scraggly beard if you just look at me for an example.
Oh, is that a beard we're calling that now, Cody? Is
Yeah.
that what that is? Calling that a beard?
Tentatively, yes, kind of.
You haven't shaved since we had that competition, have you?
No, I have not.
Wow. Cody Green, ladies and gentlemen.
So yeah, no, I do believe we're moving forward in the whole ADHD diagnosis thing, and I'm actually kind of proud of everybody being a lot more skeptical about what their children have, and I'm proud of parents for moving forward with that.
What would you say are the most common symptoms that you deal with in terms of ADHD? Because I know, much like any mental illness, there are a wide variety, and you might have some, but not all. So which are the ones that you struggle with personally the most?
I forget everything.
Okay.
I am so fucking forgetful, and it is problematic sometimes. I have, like, as you can tell, like my this is all very meticulously set up, and I have all my stuff for my Patreon for my podcast. I literally spent $30 and just bought a desk and a rack for my printer just so I can have this at the ready and not forget to do it. Organization is a big thing for me because I self-impose it on myself. Like, if I don't have that organization, I forget everything and I forget shit. And I have that very ADHD, out of sight, out of mind. You know what I mean? If it's not there, it don't exist to me.
Yeah.
So, I also hyperfixate, which is a lot of fun for anybody. Like, but I try to use it for good now. Instead of learning every zodiac sign of My Chemical Romance. Now I try to find the best ways to set stuff up for podcasts, for video production. I dive into microcosms of that kind of stuff, and I make my decisions based off of that information.
So that's kind of cool. You kind of turned one of your symptoms into a proactive thing for you.
Yeah, and I'm actively trying. Like, recently, I kind of bit the bullet and bought an iPad so I can actually get back into art, and I just did my first drawing today. So,
oh my gosh, I can't wait to see that.
I'll send you a copy.
And when you talk about hyperfixation, so one of the things I've heard that people who struggle with both hyperfixations and addiction will say the same thing is you can use it as a positive. So people who struggle with addiction, if they use it correctly, if they have an addictive personality, they can try to become addicted to, God forbid, the gym or something productive like that. And I've heard people say that about hyperfixation as well. Like, if you utilize it and you're able to hyperfixate on things that you are, focusing on, things that are your long-term goals, it can actually be something that you're able to be really successful with.
Yeah. It's the same with anything. You can. It's a double-edged sword, and if you drop it on your foot, you're gonna sever a toe. with hyperfixation, like for me, when I used to get into something really, really specific and just like hyper focus on that, like I have to know everything about that, and that's with me. It is knowledge. It is information. I have to know all the information ever, which is why I could give you like a setup that costs less than one microphone that sounds better than the microphone you're going to buy.
Yeah.
And how did I do that? Well, I spent 3 weeks literally hobbled in my office, on the internet, reading and watching reviews and doing all this other stuff. And now I'm able to say, okay, now you want to set up a podcast? Yes. You want to join a podcast? Yes. What's your budget? And I can work with people like that. So that way, I'm able to contribute something, and all of that is just born from this weird hyper focus I had, that I wanted a budget setup that sounded good with my voice.
Zach actually just sent me a message. He's too shy to ask you this question. He said, have you trained your voice to be as majestic as it is? Or was that just a gift from God?
Caught me. That actually is a good question. Deadman, have you always had a voice like Adonis, or just as?
Or did you have to sell your soul to get that?
Was there
or
a
like
crossroads deal that happened somewhere?
I'm about to blow your guys' mind. This is actually my natural speaking voice.
what?
100%. I do not
Lies.
alter it. This is how I talk. However,
That is insanely majestic, and I refuse to believe it.
this is how I actually talk to everybody else, though. Whenever I'm around in public or I talk to people on the phone, this is how I sound. And namely, it's because when I answer the phone or I'm talking to someone and I'm in this voice, they don't answer the phone and go, "Fuck, Mufasa." All right, hold on. I called death. So when I'm at work, yeah.
Zach, can you imagine picking up the phone and that's the voice you hear on the other end?
Not really. I'd immediately think I died. I died.
Yeah,
Zach's like, oh, this is it.
Check your surroundings. Did I fuck up? I think I fucked up. But yeah, this is actually the voice I usually use, and this is the one to not scare the living shit out of people when I talk to them on the phone. But as a voice actor, training your voice to do other stuff is actually pretty easy, and it's a lot of fun for me. Then I can just fall back into my natural voice. But yeah, being like a voice actor also helps a lot. I can do like the Mark Hamill Joker. I can do the the Joker from The Dark Knight. I can do several, characters. Arnold, pretty much every deep voice character there is out there. I'm able to do, and I've done in some aspect or another. And I think one of the weirder aspects of voice acting was. God, I hate this, but I'm gonna talk about it on your guys' show. Everybody else shares something embarrassing, so why am I the exception? It was a pretty good sizable paycheck, right? I think it was like a $1,100 for a voice acting gig. Yeah, I had a whole script for it, but the thing is I didn't know at the time of reading the part that it was for a movie that was being self-produced for furries.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I love it. I love it.
So during part of the audition, they were like, "God, we really like your voice. Can you growl?"
And could you? I mean,
Yes, I can. No, I'm not.
I was gonna ask you.
I know you were gonna ask, and you
Yeah.
had your phone ready to record it.
It's true.
Oh my God. So, what was that self-published video called? Just for research reasons.
We're not looking anything up.
I don't remember, honestly. This was about a year ago, but it was really weird because I belong to a couple of sites, and it was like, oh, submit your audition. So it was for a good guy. So I was like, we were looking for a Mufasa type. So I was like, "I shall save you. Don't worry, we'll get out of this alive." And so
I'm picturing the worst, biggest furry in the world.
yeah,
Just like,
exactly. I had no idea. So when they pitched the script to me, they were like, "Can you growl?" And I was like, For that much money, yeah, I can. Yeah.
Fun fact: Aracaro. By the way, you still need to talk to Aracaro, my artist.
Yes.
She is a furry, so that would actually make her happy to know that you're part of the furry fandom in a way.
Yeah, and usually what they call a bear.
Really, in my community, you'd be a bear too.
I don't mind. There's crossover. I'm good with it.
Just saying.
I appeal to so many people. But I think like yeah, with a voice like this, yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I do make some money sometimes, and I think I think one of the weirder aspects of it is for my friend Danny on Dark Charm Media, I actually play one of the highest nasally voiced characters there is on his show, named Craig McGee, who constantly sounds like he's coked up, and I think it's such a weird departure that when he offered me the part, I was like, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it funny. So
Here's a question for you. I know we have quite a few aspiring actors and actresses and that sort of thing out there. What's some of the advice you would give to people looking to break into voice acting?
I don't know if you guys know who Penn Jillette is.
Ben?
Penn Jillette of Penn and Teller.
Oh, Penn. Yeah.
Oh,
Penn,
yeah,
yeah.
yep.
So there was a rule he had when he was coming up, and that's say yes to everything within reason. And that means
Weinstein's.
yeah, exactly, within reason. So I would say yes to everything. If your friend is like, "Oh, hey, I want you to say just a couple of lines in this weird little audio drama I'm putting on for YouTube or for Anchor or anything," say yes. Go for it. You're gonna suck. Don't ever believe anybody that says you're a natural kid. You're gonna be great. You suck. All right, you always suck at the beginning. I fucking sucked at the beginning. I've been doing this for years, so it's taken me a long, long, long time to get anywhere near as good as I am. And even then, I still fuck up. But just go for it. Go, like, say yes to as much as you can within reason, within as much as you're comfortable doing. Like, and you know, you might never make it. You might make it big. You might make it bigger than all three of us on screen. But the fact is that you gotta hit the ground running, and you gotta take that first step. First step is the most important thing. I know for a fact it is crippling. It is crippling fear to say yes to anything, to putting yourself out there in any capacity, because you're like, oh fuck, what if I suck? The internet's gonna roast me, and they're gonna rip me apart. I'm gonna be brought up on Tosh.0. No, you're not. I can assure you, no, you're not. I've done some weird shit in my day for film and for fucking voice acting. I have yet to be mentioned by any major network, all right?
I definitely, by the way, when you're saying like, oh, it's an embarrassing fact that story you told, I was definitely waiting for you being voice acting in hentai or something like that. I was definitely waiting for that. Nani?
I haven't done hentai
Yet.
That's Zach's dream, is to be watching hentai and hear your voice. That's what he
true.
wants.
Oh my god. Just, oh wow. I can't even.
So when you say like take anything, for example, like if your gay friend Zach reached out and was like, "Hey, I'm starting a podcast with my buddy, and we need someone to do the introduction for us," like you're saying, yeah, say yes, right?
Yeah, say yes. Like I do so much for free because honestly, if somebody comes along, they're like, "Holy shit, that guy's voice is cool," and they can get into the show from that, I'm cool with that too. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, where's my compensation? Where's my pay? Like, no. If my voice is what gets them into a show or gets them into a program or an audio drama or something else like that, fuck yeah, I'm down with it. You use my voice as a tool. I don't care.
That's good. We've used the hell out of your voice.
Hold up. Hold up. Zach, did you not pay him for the intro?
I did.
In friendship?
Yeah, love. I accepted love. It's fine.
But I will say, like, even allowing us to use your voice here on the podcast, Zach fangirls over your voice every single week. And so I would imagine like even stuff like that's got to be super helpful for when you're voice acting, because our podcast, and I don't think Zach knows this, our podcast has been downloaded over 110,000 times.
Seriously?
Yeah, over 110,000 times.
And they know it's us, right? Like they're aware that.
No, yeah, they're aware. That wasn't a mistake. Like people actually did that on purpose for some reason.
Wow,
but
that's really cool.
But like just the fact that, I mean, like, and you're talking, your voice has been used in a bunch of different things as well. Like it's a crazy to think. And I started thinking about this as a creator too, how many people have seen my face on TikTok. But like as a voice actor, there's probably a lot of times where you're heard and people don't recognize who you are. Like I'm friends with another voice actor on TikTok, and he did a video of things he's been featured in, and I was like, I'd never put it together. Like I recognized it kind of,
yeah,
but like the fact that so many people have heard your voice, that has to kind of be cool just on its own, like on its own aspect. Like
it is, and I never think about it.
I would imagine it's a little bit frustrating because you don't get the recognition. I mean, you're not like going through Starbucks and the girl's like, "Oh my god, I know that voice." No,
That's actually happened.
never mind.
Never mind.
No, and the weirdest way, right? So I have a very distinct voice, as you guys know.
Oh yeah.
I don't, but I was on my friend's podcast, Smugcast, right? And we were discussing some very heavy topics, you know, and I was giving opinions that they were considering a certain spectrum, and I was like, no spectrum here. But the episode itself was very long. It was 2.5 hours long.
Oh wow.
And so like 6-7 months later, I'm at work, I'm driving a truck, I pull up into a gas station, I get out, right, and I'm waiting. I say, hey, I'll take a pack of smokes, you know what I mean, and energy drinks for the drive home. And there's this big dude behind me. Like, I'm a big guy, so when I say it's a big dude, it's a big dude. And he taps me on the fucking shoulder like an 80s movie. Hey, you're on a podcast, right? Fuck. All right, I'm gonna have to beat the shit out of this giant guy in the middle of nowhere. In the middle of nowhere, Indiana, but I'm not gonna hide. I'm like, yeah, I'm on a podcast. She's like, Smugcast, right? Yep, Smugcast. Yep, that's me. He goes, cool, man. Cool. I listened to that show.
That's kind of crazy. I mean, it's a little unnerving to say the least. I mean, that was my reaction the first time someone recognized me in public. They came up to me and they're like, Zach, and I'm like, shit, do I owe you money? What's going on? You know?
You instantly get into that defensive pose, you know. Dead man, what? Fucking, what are we doing? Have I ever binge watched a foreign movie series and come out speaking differently? I have actually done a couple of commercials for foreign entities, so I actually do have a couple of accents under my belt.
So what you're saying is you lied and you have done hentai before.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Not hentai, porn, actual porn.
Oh, really?
What?
Oh my god. You know what's so funny is Zach, I feel like Zach has said that after one of your intros that we've done, where Zach is like, because every time he makes something up, he's like, I'm not sure if you were aware of this, but Dead Man's voice was used as, and I'm pretty sure that's one of the examples he's used before.
I'm pretty sure it is, because you texted me afterwards. That's right, and was like, actually, I did do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that.
It was by accident. And because I didn't know what the project was, and they give you a script, and you read the script, you send the files back and whatever else like that, and then I got a text message about a month later thanking me for my role. Oh, cool. What was it used for? Oh, this one specific porno.
I mean, I've done porn, so I can't say much, but.
And man, there's an Alexa in every room. We've all done porn.
Right.
It's a fair point.
It's fair.
See, now look at Kody. Now he's like, I'm gonna unplug that fucking thing.
I literally looked over at my Google Home and I was like, oh, maybe it's time for that thing to go.
Yeah.
We're all porn to someone.
I'm looking at mine thinking you should pay me for this.
Do you understand the content you're getting for free? Fucking freeloader.
Right.
So now that we're getting like a little bit more into the episode, I do kind of want to talk about some of the points you brought up earlier. So you mentioned.
Oh yeah, we should do. Oh shit. Sorry.
You mentioned that you have been known to advocate for people with felonies voting and having gun rights.
Yes, absolutely.
So, as a couple of felons here, I would love to hear your opinion on this, because obviously, as a non-violent felon, I've always thought that my constitutional right of voting should never have been taken away. In Wisconsin, unlike some states where you lose it forever, I just lost my voting rights while I was on parole. But I know there are some states where if you're a felon, you can never vote. And then same with, gun rights in most states is just like that. If you get a felony, you have to apply to get your gun rights back, which is how it is here in Wisconsin. And I've never understood that. But as someone who isn't, a convicted felon out of the three people here,
right.
I'd love to hear your opinion on this. And this is something that obviously me and Zach know way too much about.
Yeah, as a gun owner, as a gun advocate, as somebody who's been trained in guns, somebody who's worked with guns, somebody who's been at a job with a pistol and a shotgun, guns are essentially scary.
Yeah.
And you add the word felon in front of anything, and it instantly becomes a horror movie. A felon carrying a firearm. One of the easiest way to demonize anybody.
Yeah.
Now, what was their felony? They had an ounce of weed. I truthfully believe that, we live in a pay-to-play society. You pay your taxes, you get to vote, you get to own guns. This is part of the Constitution. This is part of what you are as an American. It is our right to bear arms shall not be infringed unless you break the fucking law. Same way with the 14th Amendment. Nobody's a slave unless you break the fucking law.
Yeah.
So I believe personally that yes, have you done your time? Was it a non-violent crime? And even if it was a violent crime on a case-by-case basis, what was the circumstances of it? Were you arrested because you were defending yourself? Were you arrested in a situation where you got pinned with something? Oh, my friend had a gun and I was in the same car as him. Congratulations, now we're all up on a gun charge. Yeah, that technically is a violent felony because that is a firearms charge. So all of this, when you have done your time, I believe you're fucking done. You're done. You're an American citizen again. You've gone in, you've come out. And I believe so that way I can leave a little bit of wiggle room for those people who are like, but wait a minute, what if they offend? Okay, fine. Let's give them 6 months. You do your time, you come out. 6 months after you finish your parole or probation, you have a 6-month leeway. Don't fuck up in these 6 months. Congratulations, all your rights are back. Yeah. You're now a full American citizen again. Because guess what? Even if you are a felon, you never stop paying your fucking taxes. Your income
that'd
tax.
Be amazing. Just become a felon. Can you imagine, Zach? We just stop paying our taxes. Actually, that's a good way to become a felon too.
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah, but I believe that. I believe once you are fucking done, you are fucking done. You are back to 100% full rights. You're an American citizen again. You have everything back, and I believe that wholeheartedly because one of the main reasons that I've understood from your guys' show, people reoffend is because they don't feel like they belong to the society that they are participating in. Yeah, and I've heard this several times in your guys' show. And it's very, very easy to feel ostracized when you don't have rights like voting, like being able to carry a firearm because the only thing you can afford is to live in the apartments where everybody gets shot every other Thursday. So it's difficult. And what happens, it's easy to to re-enter that lifestyle.
Yep.
So, I believe that.
That's a really good point. And I mean, I know Kody and I can definitely share this opinion that one of the worst things about getting out and getting back into society is looking around and realizing that society never really accepts you, ever, never fully. And that's one of the hardest things to know about yourself. It sucks applying for a job, for meeting someone new. I mean, fortunately, when I met Eddie, he knew, pretty much okay with my record. But I mean, it'd be great if there was even a process to begin to get some of my rights back.
Yeah. And
Well, and that's also the frustrating part, because when we talk about recidivism rates and we talk about people returning to prison, a lot of that is getting jobs, but also everyone wants to point the finger at, if someone gets a job, they'll be fine. There is that feeling like society doesn't give a shit about you once you've been in the prison or jail system. Mm-hmm. Because when you get out, if you don't have very close family or friends, there's no one helping you get a job. There's no one helping you get an apartment. You are essentially getting out and you're on your own. I was very lucky when I got out. I had friends and family there to help me. That is not usually the case.
Same here. If I didn't have my grandma, shout out to Gran, by the way. If I didn't have my grandma, there's no way I would have even been remotely okay. I would have been back on the streets.
And having those safety nets in place are sometimes things that we lose when when people become a felon. They become the pariah of the family, the black sheep. They're outcasted. They're written out of the will, so on and so forth. So this idea of getting your rights back, I truly, truly believe that, especially from somebody who's come up from nothing, from somebody who's grew up poor. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up in the hood. I grew up knowing what gunshots sounded like by age 5. I know what it's like to be around felons. I know what it's like to be around cholos. I know what it's like to be around gangsters, actual gangsters, not people who have gold teeth and really bad records on Spotify.
I believe it is pronounced teeth.
Teeth.
Pretty sure it's pronounced teeth. Yeah. We continue.
Well, if it sets off, a metal detector, I don't want it. If you're walking through an airport and somebody waves something in front of your face and it beeps, you have issues. But anyways, I know what it's like, and I've seen it. I have friends that have been in and out of jail and never fully recovered because, honestly, society kind of threw them away. And one of the reasons was that they never felt like they ever came back to being a whole person.
One of the most devastating things about being in the prison system or being in any sort of facility like that is, and Zach will vouch for this too, watching people get out and then come right back in.
Come right back, yeah.
It's the most devastating thing because I feel like for certain people who have the resources, when they get out, for people like me and Zach who had people to go to, it was a wake-up call, because literally there was one guy who, while I was in, 4 or 5 times that guy got out and was brought right back. And it's devastating to watch, but he didn't have anywhere to go. He didn't have anyone he knew. He'd get out, the first thing he would do is go find booze and get belligerently drunk until they brought him back in.
Right. And that's just institutionalism. He's been institutionalized. He sees the outside world as something rather scary, and having to deal with that kind of anxiety or that kind of panic, resorting back to alcohol or drugs, is very, very easy to do. And it's a shame, because when you're in jail for drugs, I don't believe you should be in jail for drugs, especially if you're addicted. You know what I mean? I mean, weed and all that stuff. I think we should be legal. Period. Yeah. Everywhere on a federal fucking level. I believe all drugs should be legal, and we should start helping people rather than demonizing them.
Yeah,
and that's my true belief. Safe injection sites in Canada have reduced overdoses by over 80%. And
It's
that's
crazy. I
just
didn't know that.
yeah. Here, yeah, I have a choo-choo train right in my backyard here. But yeah, safe injection sites, valid treatment, and everything else like that, I believe should be way more valued than, hey, let's just stick them in jail and watch them dry out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a horrible situation. And I've lost a few friends to that kind of thing. So that's also kind of why I advocate for this thing.
It's incredibly difficult also because me and Zach have been a part
Zach and I.
of that lifestyle. Zach and I. Oh my
I'm just saying,
God.
is it that hard, dog? I mean, come on.
Apparently, why can I never get this? Zach and I
There we go.
have been a part of that lifestyle, and especially when it comes to addiction. Like you said, a lot of people in jail and prisons are there because of addiction, and a lot of people are there solely because of addiction.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult to watch as an addict, as someone who's been in those facilities, knowing that there could be better options out there for them, and that by going into that lifestyle, they could lose their right to vote. They could lose their right to have firearms. They could lose a lot of rights.
And the crazy thing about it is, like up until my first arrest, I was just a drug addict,
Yeah.
But after my first arrest and I was released, I was a criminal, not only because of my record, but also the life that I then had to choose, basically. I had this addiction, I needed to feed it, and where am I going to do that,
And mall Santa gigs don't pay what they used to.
Right? Amen to that. They also have a problem with a short Jew being the mall Santa.
I don't think so.
You okay, Kody?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, you all right?
But seriously, as we come into the last couple minutes here, I want to thank you for joining us today. I know it made Zach's whole day to hear your voice live today.
It's true.
No, it's my pleasure. And thank you guys for finally having me on. Been waiting for it.
True. Yes.
Only took 2 years.
Well, in our defense, it was really only a year if you count all the time we've taken off.
I don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When something has been established and exists, time doesn't stop because you don't keep doing it.
Well, in that case, we have been doing this for a minute now.
Yeah.
It's true.
But,
which makes your betrayal even more, or our betrayal hurt even more, I suppose.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
But seriously, we do appreciate you coming on, sharing your story with ADHD, and then just talking to us a little bit about your views as well. But before we go, of course, we have to unfortunately talk about Zach's balls. Zach.
So, fun note, I actually gave the Lawnmower 4.0 I want to call this maiden voyage the other day, but I did it in the shower, right? Which is magical to begin with. And I can now say that it looks like Caillou.
I don't know that reference. What is that reference?
Caillou? You don't know Caillou?
Caillou. He's
Caillou.
saying it strangely.
Okay, whatever. It looks like Caillou.
Okay. Seriously, though, for those of you who haven't tried Manscaped's product, the Lawnmower 4.0 is an amazing product that not only works in the shower, but also has an amazing light. And
which is really helpful if you're like Kody, you need to locate it.
Thank you for that, Zach. Thank you for that. Gotcha.
God, I'm good.
But there are also many other products, including the ball toner, which Zach gets so excited to talk about.
It's true. I mean, boys, gentlemen, fellas,
listen,
Dudes.
One-on-one talk here. If you haven't treated your balls to Manscaped ball toner, you're missing out.
You are.
That's all I can say. Treat yourself. Treat yourself to using Manscaped's ball toner. That's all. That's all I'm going to say.
And seriously, their products are amazing. Thank you again to Manscaped for allowing us to continue to do this and do it with an amazing sponsor. If you guys want to try out the Lawnmower 4.0 or any other products from Manscaped, be sure to use code Zach and Kody for 20% off your next order.
Gosh, I'm still waiting for that slap suit from Disney.
Well, until we get it.
Yeah, Zach and Kody apparently is the code.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Use the Lawnmower 4.0 to make your balls look like Bruce Willis's head.
Oh, that was amazing. We're going to just clip
wait.
that.
Is Bruce Willis sponsored by Manscaped? Is he on the list of people we can't?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think we're good there.
Okay.
But seriously,
Vince-
thank you
Vincent
so much for
D'Onofrio.
joining us today, Dead Man. Do you have any final words in your beautiful voice to tell the people today?
Yeah. Please drop by my podcast. It's a lot of fun. It's a nice reprieve from reality, and you guys are gonna have a lot of fun listening to three brown guys roast the shit out of everything. That is VT Network, and that is anchor.fm/VT Network. We're here on YouTube. Also, we do we bi-weekly shows. We do 2 shows a week. We do an education show on Fridays, and we do the main show on Sundays. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/VT Network, where you get so much more content as well as stickers for just $5 a month. So patreon.com/VT Network. And also, above all else, please be kind to each other. Not Zach and Kody, but the rest of you, please be kind to each other.
We
This
wouldn't be able
world-
to have a podcast
Yeah,
if me and
that's
Zach
it.
were kind to each other.
That's 90% of our content is not being kind to each other. So
Yeah. But please be kind to each other. This world sucks as it is. We need as much love as we possibly can get. Now, for the next 4 minutes, I'm just going to roast Kody and Zach.
Ooh, let's go. I want to hear it. Let's go.
All right. I was just joking, but all right.
okay.
I just love anyone who roasts Zach. It's my favorite thing.
I love anyone who. I do have a certain amount of respect for people that roast Kody, but then it occurs to me that it's just like kicking a puppy. It's too easy, and the noise he makes later makes me sad. So.
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, I got to get at least a couple of shots in. You guys have delayed me coming on here for so long. Zach looks like a before and before picture.
Okay, not bad.
Kody looks like a used car salesman who just got clean and is given a second chance.
The amount of accuracy from that statement actually. Oh,
I like
Zach
that.
doesn't look like he does porn, but he looks like he does porn. It's just the wrong kind of porn.
That kind of porn.
Kody looks like he started bum fights for 3 straight years.
I love it.
this is what I
Zach-
live for.
Zach looks like a professional wrestler that failed and then succeeded and then failed again.
Oh God.
Is that the hat? Is it part of his wrestling persona?
No, the hat helps him.
Helps me power up.
Kody looks like the kind of guy that sells you things that come with a weird warranty.
Oh my god. Okay,
Yes,
these are
it's
getting
a-
a little
it's a
too
Sony.
accurate.
It's a Sony, then why are the instructions in Korean?
Oh my god.
Oh.
All right. Well, we definitely needed that. I appreciate it so much.
My pleasure. Once
Seriously,
again,
guys,
VT Network.
Absolutely. Check out the VT Network. Hopefully I will be on there soon to harass you on your show a little bit. And I'm guessing eventually you might possibly bring Zach back. I don't know why you would, but you seem to like him a little bit. So
I'll be back on the show. Don't you worry.
He is the highest downloaded episode. He is the highest downloaded guest we have.
oh. Well, that's something you should put on your resume, Zach.
So
Yeah.
So Kody, when you come on, man, you gotta get a lot of people to start to download the show to meet Zach, because his record, I believe, is 189 complete downloads.
Oh yeah, he doesn't even stand a chance, honestly.
Oh, I want
shut up.
this competition. I want this
Don't
competition.
even.
Well, come
All
on.
right.
We know he comes from bum fights, Zach. He has the upper hand.
True. That is fair.
All right. Well, on that note, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Zach, as always, do you have any final words for the people today?
No.
God, I love when you don't have any final words.
Yeah,
It
I
literally
got
makes
nothing,
my whole
dog. I'm
day.
sorry.
All right. Well, you guys take it easy. Have a wonderful day. And thank you so much for listening to the Criminally Mental Podcast.
Bye.